Sharon provides a little background.
Okay.
As we use the breath to anchor us in this eternal now moment, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this evening. So as our presider, Reverend Jessica, lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. The fourth candle we light for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. The fifth candle we light for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle is lit for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. The seventh candle we light for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center. And as Reverend Jessica lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God.
Yes. Just feel that. Surrendered, relaxing into God. That is the only thing, God, and only God, the center and the circumference. The corned beef hash. Yeah. Life, life, and more life. And because it is the only thing, we are one with it. There isn't a place in us where we're not one with God. And how beautiful it is that this service, this Wednesday night service, we get to practice that presence. We get to really relax into that which always is, our union with God. I know that this whole time is blessed. From the audiovisual, Mike Carlin in the booth, our musical inspiration with Sharon, all of the hospitality that we experienced beforehand. Thank you, Marlene, Reverend Mike, and ourselves. This is a co-creative experience here. I am so very grateful for this spiritual community, for the Center for Spiritual Living here in Granada Hills. And as I know that this masterpiece of this service unfolds in love, in this open heart that we are awakening to and living in, that we can affirm this by saying, and so it is. Amen. So, I've been experiencing overwhelming flu symptoms for the past 2 weeks. Chills, some of you may have experienced it. Chills, fever, coughing. I mean, coughing so much my abs hurt. I didn't even know I had abs, you know. So my meditation teacher, Shenshin Yug, says that at these times that we can just accept it as sort of a unchosen retreat, you know. And luckily I was able to stay at home. Yeah, as a matter of fact, one of the days the school had a power outage, so I couldn't go to work. It was great. It was like, wow, okay, so I'm choosing to have this retreat. And I used the flu symptoms as material for my mindfulness. So at first I just labeled the location of the sensations because they were just so overwhelming. Believe me, nothing was subtle. Everything was amplified. And because I know that resistance increases suffering, I just allowed the flow of sensation to take over. Now, I had the luxury of staying home, and I knew I wasn't dying, although it felt like it. Sometimes it was so intense that I just had to let go and just go into a rest state. So I moved back and forth, just observing, trying not to have opinion about how uncomfortable it was, between rest and free-floating mindfulness. I did find myself getting depressed, you know, after a week of feeling bad or feeling ill. I started feeling kind of negative. I started noticing this kind of spiral downward. But the great part about meditation through the flu was that I realized I had choice. You know? I may not have had choice about my condition, you know, but I certainly had choice about how I was going to think about my condition, you know? Because I noticed that while I was feeling depressed, that I wasn't getting any better. You know, so this power of choice is the key to my freedom. And we're learning about that in Pratt class last week. It's just, every time I dive deeper into this teaching, there's so much richness for me to learn that I can draw on. And this week was about what Ernest Holmes was talking about, freedom. That there's really no other power that's telling us what to do, to choose for us, or to deny our choices. It might have felt like that when I had the flu. But nobody is telling me what to think about my condition. So I decided to just start thinking positively, even though it didn't feel right. You know, it didn't feel positive. So my freedom to choose already exists. But my freedom is in my thought. It's not in wanting better health or wanting more money. It's really in my freedom to think the way I want to think about what I want to focus on. So that leads to this wisdom that I have that choice. And that I'm not required to do anything, but I do have choice. I've made it a requirement for myself just to choose to think happy thoughts. And I actually got better, faster, I think, when I did that, healing myself of the negativity that was cropping up. So Ernest Holmes says that all negativity can finally be healed by the spiritual realization that we are one with God. And that when a large enough number of us get that realization, then it will permeate everything. So tonight, we get to change everything. Thank you.
All of my life, all of my days, when I think of you, everything's okay. You keep me whole. You keep me safe. You are my umbrella if I'm in the rain. How can I thank you? You've been my loving arms. You are my harbor out of the storm. When I am drifting, my mind in a fog, you've been the lighthouse guiding me home. Waves may be crashing over my head. You are my life jacket, my anchor, my friend. How can I thank you? You've been my loving arms. You are my harbor out of the storm. How can I thank you? You've been my loving arms. You are my harbor out of the storm. Out of the storm.
Thank you. That's great. I think that was one of yours, eh? One of hers.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. tomorrow, St. Patrick's Day. I'd like to thank you all for joining us tonight and for indulging me in my Irish antics. But it's fun, I think.
Yes.
And of course, tomorrow, many people are going to focus mostly on the partying, drinking aspects of the Irish, which actually, that's really kind of waning. Not that it hasn't been an issue in years past. But it is it's a very deep and mystical country for sure. Particularly when you consider it's very small. So maybe from San Diego to Stockton, right? And if you count the furthest most fingers of the island, maybe as wide as the state of California. So it's very small. And there's 32 counties, and each county is like a state here in the U.S. So I was just thinking about all the things that will be transpiring, or some of the things that I'm aware of over there. And reminiscing on my new connections with family and so forth. So there's if you think football is big here in the States, right? American football, Gaelic football is like religion there. And it's different in that each county, which is like a state, each county has their own Gaelic football team. And they're not professional. They're all amateurs. And so it's a big deal when they have the playoff, which I was there for, and Mayo, which is where my mom's from. Mayo was in the big playoff with Dublin. And now Mayo is like, it's not quite like West Virginia, but sorta. Right? It's way out in the west, and Dublin is very cosmopolitan, and that was, the big East meets West. And they played to a draw the first time. So it was all very exciting. But I was struck by that jubilant celebration that really crosses over any boundaries that was present there. But they also have, they take religion seriously there. Possibly too seriously. But there's also a sense of joy and connection. So my cousin, for instance, she blesses herself every time she leaves the house and when she comes home. Right? So it's, there's a very strong practice there. And some of that is ancient things that came out of pagan practices that carried over into Roman Catholicism. So you can't help but pay attention to such things when you're there. So I like the fact that we have this meal together, and now we're coming together in our own practice in this way, kind of like an extended family kind of thing, really. Sorry there's no whiskey. But it's probably better that way, trust me. And, tomorrow I'll be looking out my office window. About 11 o'clock, the line will start, right? Yeah, for amateur night, as my dad would say. So what we do here on Wednesday nights is I read a short reading, and then we do meditation. So meditation is a practice that we promote. Really, it's my understanding it's a relatively new thing in religious science to promote meditation, which is interesting when you consider the first two steps in treatment are recognition, right? Knowing, recognizing that there's a God out there, and to unification, that we're one with it. So you would think it'd be kind of a no-brainer to engage in meditation. But it's kind of a relatively new thing. And so on Wednesday nights, what we do is we have a short reading, and then we have what I call an adapted Vipassana type meditation. So we'll have the Om and Bros will come up, which will be Om, but we're just going to work with the breath. And we're using the breath to focus, to calm the mind by focusing it on the sensation of the movement of breath on the inside of the nostril and then on the upper lip. And then as you create space in your mind, you will feel a sense of peace and harmony. Even if you come here agitated and with stuff, right? You'll see it'll create some space. And you might go back to it, but that's all right. Just take a deep breath. Focus on the sensation again. The mind will calm. And then we'll do that for about 10 minutes or so. And then we'll take that sense of connection and that sense of peace from that short little practice, and then I'll work us into a treatment. And so if you have something that you are ready to let go of, right, or something that you're ready to step into and embrace, right, this is a great time to do this. And then we're going to kind of create, we're going to create a field from which to grow in awareness of what it is that we're speaking into, and then we release it, and bing, bang, boom. As sure as you're born, it's done and complete. All right, so this is from a little something from Butterworth to contemplate. Prayer is not conditioning God to our needs, but conditioning our needs to the activity of God. We don't want to seem repetitious, but it is vital that you catch this point. Prayer is not trying to reach God or to inform God or tell God all about our troubles. It is to know God as the infinite resource within and expand your self-realization. Challenge yourself to become aware of the presence of God. One truth teacher adds confusion rather than clarity when in describing the effects of prayer, he says, and says it often, when you get the awareness of truth and speak the healing word, pop, God comes in. But God doesn't come in, for God never went out. Right? God never went out. So when we pray, God doesn't go anywhere or come from anywhere. This is a key thing in our teaching. And you don't go anywhere, unless in your mind you're off fishing or something. But you come back. We don't go anywhere. You simply remove the blinders from our eyes. We become aware that we are an expression of God, and that God is a deeper dimension of ourselves, expressing itself as each one of us, including those people you don't really care for so much, even them. Maybe especially them, eh? There is no need to bargain, to coax a reluctant God to work a miracle on our behalf. It is our purpose then, as Jesus told his disciples in James, you ask wrong. God knows your needs, and God is the answer. And as Tennyson so aptly put it, closer is he than breathing, and nearer than hands and feet. Eric Butterworth, so he's a unity minister. All right, so if that is true, then maybe maybe all this self-improvement stuff is misguided attention. Right? We're going to improve the God within? No. But we can improve our awareness, right? Or maybe the cultivation of our awareness with the indwelling presence. So I'll let you take that one in. Mike's going to bring up our Om and Bros. We're going to take a deep breath. First, I'm going to invite you just to check your seat. So I like to just really anchor my feet flat, but if you have a regular practice, do whatever's comfortable. And then I just bring my intention straight away to the center. And just feel myself anchored on the seat. Feel my lower back against the back of the chair. And just using this chair to know that I am being supported right now in this moment. And then I just allow my elbows to fall naturally to the outside of my body. Hands clasped or unclasped. That's your preference. And just checking our posture. We want to sit straight. And even let's roll our shoulders back. Right? And then let them drop. Feel how they release just a little bit. Yeah. And if you're feeling a little tension in your lower back, just tuck your tailbone in just a little bit and you'll feel a little release in there. All right, so now taking a deep breath together. Release. Go ahead, sigh it out. All right, so that's the beginning of an Om. I feel the vibration. Let's take another deep breath. Sigh it out. Right, feel the vibration. Right, that's so right now we are vibrating with the divine activity of spirit. One more deep breath. Release. Very nice. So we're just going to breathe easily and naturally. We're not forcing anything. We're allowing the belly to rise and fall easily. And a nice little Buddha belly. Right, so this isn't the time for the ab workout. Just allowing the easy rise and fall. Just allowing God to breathe us. So, using the breath then, by bringing our attention rather, to the sensation of the movement of the breath against the nostril. Feel the movement of air. It may be a temperature difference. And you will see the natural tendency for the thought to still. So we have no attachment to what's going to happen. We have no judgment on whether we're a good meditator or we're not doing it right. There's no wrong way. So if you have available the sensation on the nostril, maybe you can deepen a little bit more by detecting the movement of the breath on your upper lip. So staying with the breath in, we're just going to move into the silence for about 10 minutes. By means of your heart, by means of your compassion and peace, by means of the gift that you are, your unique gift of you in the world, that we are so grateful to know this. And so from this place of gratitude, of conscious unity, with the one heart, one mind of spirit, we launch our word now into the law of spirit, knowing that our word has power, for it impresses itself upon this law of mind and cannot be returned void. And so we expectantly, joyfully see this full and complete demonstration unfolding right now. We simply release it, we let it go.